Disclaimer. This is educational purpose video only. I didn't harm anyone. I used my own device during explain of this method, so please don't use this method any kind of illegal or malicious activities. Because hacking is crime. If you do this, then it can land you in jail. I'm not support any kind of illegal or malicious hacking.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're just going to continue from where we left off. I am going to do a couple of things with Metasploit, and those will include making our reverse shells persistent on another system, and escalating privileges in order to do that, because we do need an elevated set of privileges to do certain things on a system elsewhere. Now, I can just see the question in discussions now: can we actually do a remote desktop? Yes, you can actually have a desktop of another person being displayed on your own screen, but I strongly recommend against it. Okay, if you're doing this in LAN, fine, it can pass. But if you're doing this over the net, having a remote desktop is a waste of bandwidth. I mean, complete waste of bandwidth. I do not understand what is it exactly that you would like to see on their desktops. You can take screenshots if you want of certain things. If you need passwords, you can use keyloggers, which are embedded into Meterpreter. You just need to issue a command to log keystrokes. I don't know, stuff of a kind, but I really don't see the point of a remote desktop. If they're browsing something on the net, and if they're watching something on the net, you can obviously see the addresses of what you can see the IP addresses of what they're visiting on the net, and not the IP addresses, but you can also see the domains, and then you can just copy them into your own browser and have a look at whatever you want to see almost in real time. I know that would be a bit of a drag, but believe me, it saves up on bandwidth, and if you do a remote desktop over the net, you are very likely to render the other person's web browsing experience practically, they won't be able to browse the web. I mean, they will, but it will be very slow unless they have a really good connection. And unless you have a really good connection, you won't be able to do that. Try running TeamViewer, and you will see that it's not the fastest of applications out there, not because of the way it was built, but because of the amount of information that is passing in between 2 points. Anyway, you should have pretty much the same setup as from the previous tutorial. You should not have closed anything. I sincerely hope that you didn't. It doesn't matter if you did, you can just repeat it. Here, we're gonna go ahead and open up our shell, so just do the same things. It's still running, I believe, in my Windows 8.1 machine, and let's see, will it actually work out here? Or, hold on. Oh, I already have it running, so it's working. And let me show you how is it working. I'm gonna go over these commands with you. Don't worry about it. I just want to get into the Meterpreter now. Excellent. So we are now in the Meterpreter. Let me just prove to you that I am, in fact, in a Windows machine. So cd. There you go. These are obviously Windows files. Well, cygwin. I even have that installed on my Windows machine. Amazing. Doesn't really matter. Anyway. Now you can see that I am in my Windows machine. I just closed the Meterpreter. I've actually placed my Meterpreter shell into background, and that is something that you can do and that you will be forced to do during certain hacks, primarily because you will want to do other things with that session. You will want to open up a session, and then you will want to do different things to that session. You want to pass that session to different exploits so they can use it as well, and you obviously can't do that like this. So what you would do is put it in the background, but before we do, just go ahead and type in help. This is gonna give you a list of commands. This is a very nice command. Get system attempts to elevate your privileges, but this doesn't really always work. And here you have webcam commands. I mean, I can't do this demonstration on a wireless machine, on a virtual machine, but you can do it. This is physical. This is only for physical machines, unless you have a USB camera or something of a kind. It's not really that hard. You just type in run and then one of these commands. You will see later on we will do something. we will use some of the commands, not for webcam, but we will use some other commands. I do believe that it is just run and then this, and the rest will simply fall onto the system. The system will be able to do the rest. Anyway, so you have these things. You can take screenshots. You can start capturing keystrokes, stop capturing keystrokes. I don't know, you can do pretty much whatever you want. You can list accessible desktop and Windows stations. Well, that's very nice. System information, this will list information on the current system. So not a bad idea. Shell, we have already used shell. Drop into the system command shell, which means you get the CMD in Windows, practically the CMD prompt in Windows, although the tab does not work there. I'm not sure if reboot would work. I think I tried it before, but it didn't. It gave me some errors. You will need to use shutdown space /r command in order to reboot the system. PS will list the running processes, and up here, where is it? So I would suggest just taking a look at all of these commands. The text for them is not that long. Just go ahead and read through all of them. If you can't go through all of them, at least go through a few more than we will use in this tutorial, just to get an idea of what this thing can actually do. Here you can type in netstat and it displays network connections, so you can see what they are doing on the net in real time, which is very nice. As you can pretty much copy those addresses onto your machine, and you can see which sites are they visiting or what they're doing there. As opposed to running a remote desktop, which is highly inefficient. Here you have some simple file system commands. I'm pretty sure that some of them won't work, but most will. And up here is the background which we have started. So if you type in background, it backgrounds the current session. So let's just go ahead and do that. Please, I cannot stress how important it is that you take a look at some of these commands. They are very simple to understand. You won't need to bash your head against the wall to figure out what they do. You just take a look at them and type them in. So for example, to background an application, to background a session, you type in background. It's the same principle. I don't think that you actually need to use run. That was my bad here. But just rather instead type in a command. So if I type in, before I type in background, I'm gonna type in get system, and this is gonna fail. I have a bad idea. Yep, there we go. Operation failed. The environment is incorrect. For shell command, you just type in shell, and it puts you into a CMD, into the command. It gives you the command prompt. Now let's see, do we have any elevated privileges? Even though the get system command did not work out to the best, but there's still a better way to check this. I mean, just to know for sure, because these things tend to bug out. I mean, this is a reverse shell, so don't expect perfection. CD into Windows. Tab doesn't work here. See, if I press tab, it just keeps on jumping. System 32. And CD Windows System 32. Right now. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna try to make a directory here. So mkdir test. Does this work? No. mkdir test access is denied. I cannot make a directory here, so proof enough. Anyway, we're gonna now background. A tab does work here to finish your commands. Backgrounding session 5, and you see it exits out of the interpreter. It doesn't exit out of the interpreter, but it puts it into the background, and in your foreground is your MSF console. Now, you can type in sessions-help to get a list of help commands for sessions. You can also type in session-l to get a list of running sessions. You can have pretty much as many as you want here, as many as your system can handle. To get back into a session, type in -i and type in the number of the session, the ID, press enter, and there we go. We are once again into the interpreter session number 5. You can again type in background and put it in the background, remain where you are in a MSF console from where you can do various things. Now, I have decided to use this one, and you see I described it here, ask for privileges. Now, there are numerous ways that you can obtain elevated privileges on a remote system upon opening a Meterpreter shell. The best one, in my personal experience, is simply to ask the user for the permissions. If they don't give them to you the first time around, I don't know, wait a while and then ask them again. And if that doesn't work, I don't know, wait a while, ask them again. Eventually, they will click more often than not. Yes, I don't know why, but such are the things in Windows. You don't need a password, you can just click yes or no, and you have admin privileges, which is fascinating to me, to say the least. Anyway, before I use that exploit, I'm gonna type in use post, so post exploitation, Windows. Yes, display or 149. And anyway, you got here escalation. So you can gather credentials, different types, but okay, so keylog, you can even have a keylogger here, but you don't really need it if you have a Meterpreter session. You can start it from the Meterpreter session immediately. Rather, instead, I want escalate. So there is more if you want to just take a look down. There are like 149 things there. So use escalate. Press tab. Excellent. So we got like drop link, get system, golden ticket, screen unlock, KBD layout. Actually, I don't know what this one is. Anyway, you can use get system as well. That one is being used by your Meterpreter if I'm not mistaken, but that doesn't always work. That's why I said it's the best thing you can do. I just want to show you some other ways of escalating privileges, so you can use pretty much any one of these in pretty much the same way as I am going to use this one. There is little or no difference. If you get stuck somewhere, feel free to ask. So use exploit Windows local. Exploit Windows. Local, and what do we got here? Still too many. Ask. Excellent, so now we have entered this exploit, and for this exploit, you type in show options, and I have configured this to session 1, as that was what it was previously. You only need to configure session 1. Payload options, that's already configured, so you see it's using Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP, the one that we have used previously. What you need to do is just change the session. You won't immediately get this, I think. You need to set the session. This is from my previous session. So that just type in set session 5. Excellent, so show options. Excellent, so it's session 5. And these things are loaded accordingly. Yes, they are the same, but I was just doing some testing before this, and just testing out will it actually work or not, and how it would actually work, how it would look like, just to bring you guys quality content. Anyway, now that we have this done, you just type in exploit, and it's gonna transmit a signal. There you go, not sure if you heard that. If we open up our Windows machine, you see it user account control. So you're basically asking the user for the control. If you want, sure, type it yes or no. But even people sometimes by mistake will click yes, and then they'll be too lazy to reverse it or anything of a kind. That's just one of the ways, but there are others, as I have showed you. You can use them in pretty much exactly the same way. Now it says Meterpreter session 6 open. It has opened up a new session, and this Meterpreter has elevated privileges. Let's see if that is true. Get system. What? Get me help. Ah, yes, of course. Exit. Get. Okay, got system via technique 1. It does actually work, no problems. And now we can do shell and see, can we actually make a file in Windows System 32? Apparently we should be able, so mkdir Test has been created. A subdirectory or file test already exists. Okay, fine. Okay, here, test 1. So it does actually manage to make it. So if I type in del test, are you sure you want to? Yes, I'm sure. Del test 1. Sure you want to do that. Yes, so we can manipulate files in system32, which means we have pretty much full control. If we can place files and run them from there, we are omnipotent pretty much on the system. Anyway, let's go ahead and exit this, clear this, not exit, but background, clear the screen. Anyway, that was a process, one of the processes which you could have used to elevate privileges, but there are other ones that I showed you, and you can use them in pretty much the same way as I have used this one. You just pass the session ID, and then just if there are some other parameters that are required, just type in show options like this, show options, and it tells you here is something required or not. So it says session 5 is required, you need to exit, and this should be configured by default, but you only need to have a session here, so you can see what fields are required and not. You basically just type in set and type in whatever the name of whatever you wish to set. That's it. No problems there. However, again, if you encounter problems doing some other stuff in Metasploit, please do not hesitate to post it in the discussion section on Udemy, and I'll be more than happy to attempt to assist you. In any case, I bid you farewell until the next tutorial, where we will make a persistent shell, so every time a machine resets, we will gain an open reverse shell over here. Anyway, until then.